Meeting for Douglas County, Nebraska for Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. Please note that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the Legislative Chamber alongside an automatic external defibrillator. Please stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is our Douglas County Board of Equalization meeting. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Kavanaugh, Commissioner Fahey, Commissioner Friend, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Mr. Chair.
Here. First, we have items A and B, A being the approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, and B being a call for a meeting and set Tuesday, August 26th, 2025, as date for hearing on certified assessment corrections reflecting the addition of omitted property to the tax rolls or increased value on property. Do I have a motion, a second? Motion by Morgan, second by Rogers. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Next, we have our resolutions. Please note that items D and E have been omitted, and also item G under protest is also going to be tabled until next week as per the assessor and clerk. Therefore, we only have items C and F under resolutions. If we'd like the motion for those plus adjournment. Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan. Is there anybody that wanted to speak on items C or F under resolutions of equalization? If not, we'll vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. That concludes Board of Equalization. We will now go into Board of Corrections. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borgeson? Commissioner Kavanaugh? Commissioner Fahey? Commissioner Friend? Commissioner Morgan? Commissioner Rogers? Mr. Chair.
Here. First, we have the approval of the minutes of the Board of Corrections meeting held Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. Do I have a motion and a second? Second. Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have our report from the Director of Corrections, Director Myers.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Michael Myers, Director of Corrections for Douglas County. You have before you our report for the month of July. Turning to enclosure number 1, Administrative Services and Personnel. Following the first month of the fiscal year, we are over budget by $568,766. I believe this is probably explained by timing of some invoices that were paid. But however, we will be continuing to monitor this closely, and we are working with our staff to explore various options for efficiencies to bring us back within our budgetary expectations. There were $288,718 spent on overtime costs, which was an increase of about $30,000 from the previous month, which I think is probably attributed to some increased hours in training as we are converting from to a new use of force model that I think is going to be a big benefit to our department. Over $940,000 in bond payments were processed by our records division. 5 officers below the rank of sergeant left employment in July, and that includes 1 retirement. I did want to point out that we only had 2 individuals that left voluntarily last month, so that was a good month for attrition. Congratulations to Officer Kimberly King on her well-deserved retirement. And as of July 31st, we were 99% staffed among all correctional ranks. Turning to enclosure number 2, Community Corrections and Reentry Services. The Sanction Center and Transitional Discharge Center placed 13 individuals in community corrections and saved 51 bed days in the jail. Work release admitted 25 individuals, and house arrest admitted 36. RAP, the Reentry Assistance Program, admitted 13. Reentry Services and Therapeutic Communities. There were 65 individuals admitted to therapeutic community housing units. There are currently 106 individuals on the GED wait list with 76 active students. 6 individuals achieved a GED. That's a very good month as well. 17 individuals were referred to intensive outpatient treatment program, while 46 individuals received substance use disorder evaluations. That is also quite a high number. It's usually about 30. Turning to pretrial services, 324 individuals were placed on pretrial release. This is the highest monthly number in at least over a year. That's the data I had at my fingertips. There were 1,453 individuals supervised on pretrial release over the course of the month. That is also the highest number in at least a year. 634 individuals participated in the 24/7 sobriety program. That is a record high. And 211 individuals were supervised via GPS monitors. That is another record high. We theoretically project that pretrial release saved 1,647 jail bed days. That is a record high. That translates into a savings of $789,990 in detention costs. That is also a record. Our pretrial staff are working with a new vendor for pretrial release software regarding several aspects of the program. I have a new go live date. It will probably be about a month later. I got that information just yesterday. So the go live will not be September 2nd. Some final finishing touches on the interface between IMS and the software is being hammered out. But look for, hopefully within the very near future, we'll be able to tell you much more data about that program. Enclosure number 3, compliance. Regular reporting of all compliance-related data continues. Our Prison Rape Elimination Act audit, or PREA, will occur either late this year or early next year. The National Commission on Correctional Health Care audit will occur in 2026 as well, with a date to be determined. And the American Correctional Association audit will occur in October or November of 2026 as well. Turning to enclosure number 4, population. There were 1,454 admissions. There were 1,459 releases. We had a high count of 1,152, a low count of 1,064, and an average daily population of 1,110. That's an increase of 5 over the previous months. I do want to point out the connection between pretrial release and success of that program and mitigating the increase in jail population. We had, in 2024, we had 1 month of over 1,400 admissions. In 2025, we've had gone over 1,400 admissions every single month except for one. And so we should have, in theory, probably at least another 100 to 150 people in jail than we do without that intervention. So hats off to that program for really serving the purpose as when we redesigned it. It is meeting the expectations and then some, I believe. The average length of inmates released in July the overall average length of stay was 24 days. 52% of inmates stayed longer than 72 hours, and those individuals stayed for an average of 64 days. Those are both trending down. I think that is another a pretrial release function. 48% of inmates were released within 72 hours of being booked, and the average length of stay for those inmates was 1.4 days. There were 111 custodial sanctioned bed days. The U.S. Marshal population decreased. The average felony pretrial population was 763. That's an increase of 35. The average daily misdemeanor population was 139. That was a slight decrease. Probation violations increased. 19% of our population were between the ages of 18 and 24. 65% of our population were minorities. 15% of our population were female, and 19% of our population were homeless or nearly homeless. Turning to enclosure 5, medical and mental health. There are 1,147 intake screenings. There were 430 health and physical assessments. There were 25 emergent medical care transports. 7 of those were by 911. There were 7 hospital admissions. The total days of hospitalization were 38. There were 36 off-site medical appointments. Initial psychiatric assessments in the jail, there were 168. There were 346 initial mental health assessments. There were 117 individuals placed on suicide precautions. 211 individuals, that is a high number, were placed on drug and alcohol detox protocols. There was 1 referral to the Board of Mental Health that was approved. We have 13 individuals on the Lincoln Regional Center wait list. And there's 22 individuals currently at the Lincoln Regional Center, and 3 individuals over the course of the month were administered Narcan or Opvee. In turning to enclosure number 6, Security Operations and Honor Guard, our crisis negotiation team was deployed, or CNT was deployed 7 times in July, several of which were in conjunction with our CERT team, our emergency response team. Issues addressed included working with several mentally ill individuals who were refusing basic hygienic cares to take showers, and an individual who was engaging in self-harm behavior. Most incidents were resolved without the need for physical force. In one case, the intervention of CERT was required to assure the objectives were safely achieved, and no injuries were reported. The CNT team completed training at the First Responders Foundation, which required various mental health topics, resiliency, and scenario training. Our emergency response team, or CERT, were trained on Gracie, which is a self-defense survival tactics, and using the RAP device. CERT was deployed 6 times in July. One incident in conjunction with CNT involved an individual who was on a constant watch due to extreme suicide risk. This individual covered all of the windows of the cell with a combination of feces and food, obstructing the view of the officer assigned to the watch. The combined efforts of CERT and CNT resulted in the individual showering, and the cell was cleaned, all without force being required. There were 12 searches conducted. Recovered items included a white powdery substance, stripped headphone wires, a sheet which was torn into strips, a shank, which is a weapon manufactured in the jail in an attempt to stab somebody. This was done by filing off the leg of a plastic chair. And 2 pieces of paper which had tested positive for cocaine residue. The Honor Guard trained this month with the Metro Area Honor Guard. Enclosure number 7, Staff Development, Wellness, and Retention. There were 164 applications for correctional officer positions. That is a record. 6 interviews were conducted. We are targeting a 3rd quarter academy to begin in early August. 24 cadets are anticipated. And we did begin that training. I think we do have actually 23. We have begun staff training in TAP, the Tactical Athlete Program, which is replacing our use of force and self-defense curriculum. TAP is a more holistic approach, emphasizing de-escalation, and techniques are not based on pain compliance, and officer health and fitness is emphasized. About 15% of our staff have completed the 32-hour course, and we are planning to have all staff trained by the end of the year. 17 staff members used the Wellness and Retention Office. 2 staff members were referred to external mental health resources. DCDC is now a chapter of the First Responders Foundation, and work is underway to bring the resources of the First Responders Foundation to make Corrections Week of 2026 even more special for our staff. And work continues for a Corrections Wellness Fair for our staff, which will be held just in in about 6 weeks, or in a month, I should say, on September 17th. Other noteworthy items. After much planning, we opened our orientation housing units on July 1st. Now, most individuals will spend their first 24 to 48 hours in these housing units. The exceptions primarily are those who will go to the infirmary and those who are combative upon booking. There are many benefits to this change in our operation. Our medical and mental health and reentry service teams are conducting informational sessions regarding their services that are available to the incarcerated population. This should speed access to services and program offerings. We have additional time to more carefully classify individuals in order to house them safely on an ongoing basis. And having all newly booked individuals congregated into specific areas of the jail allows us an additional opportunity to contain and discover any contraband that may have made it through the initial booking process. All individuals will have their clothing swapped out and are strip searched and body scanned a second time when transferring out of the orientation units prior to placement in their ongoing housing unit. And on July 2nd, we celebrated the topping out ceremony for our mental health edition, commemorating the placement of the final steel beam. Currently, concrete is being poured for the floors, and the exterior of the building should be finished sometime this fall. And with that, I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you, Director Myers. We'll go to discussion, starting with Commissioner Kavanaugh.
Thank you. Thanks for this, Mike. A couple of things just on the metrics that we go over.
Commissioner, can you
on the
put
population.
your mic closer to you, please? Thank you.
Is that better? Yeah.
I believe so, yep. Thank you.
Population's at 1,100, which is up marginally, I think 5 from month to month. And as you indicated, is way below our maximum. I think you said 1,400 and some. So that's progress. Of those, the average length of stay is 24 days. Of those, 48% stay 72 hours or less. So there's a big turnover every day. And every 3 days, about half of the population. About 76% are felony pretrial holds. So the vast bulk of the people that we are holding are being held so that their cases can be heard in district court, disposed of that way. You indicated the U.S. Marshal population was down, but you didn't give us a number.
I believe it was down about 20. It's on a graph, but it's...
Okay, it'd be good to have a gross number. What is
Sure.
the Marshal population?
Yep.
Is there an ICE population?
No.
No?
We do not have...
I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty here.
No, we do not have an ICE population.
Okay.
There are ICE holds, but they are only with us due to criminal charges, not
Right.
immigration.
The majority minority population remains very high at 65%, which is nudged up a couple of percents. But chronic problem that we have here is that 43% of the individuals that we lock up are African American, way above their demographics in our community. And another 20% are various other minorities. I would just indicate that indigenous people are listed as Indians, and I just don't know if that is a correct terminology for indigenous people.
We can probably change that, Commissioner. I believe that is how
Right.
the federal government classifies.
I
them.
understand. I'm just saying
But
it might be
we
something
don't
that you
have
want
to do it that way. We can
attend
change
to.
it.
The drug and alcohol protocols apply to 211, but I see that actual participation in drug and alcohol programming was like a couple dozen. And that's something that I'm concerned about us doing more of. As long as we have people for at least 30 days, we could certainly provide them with a more comprehensive drug and alcohol protocol. On these staffing and budget graphs, it would be helpful if we had graphs that showed what it was going back. And here's what I mean.
Yeah.
It doesn't do me much good to see a graph like this that I'm showing you that shows
Understood.
blanks for future dates, but doesn't tell me anything about past dates. That's empty information, okay? This first graph shows dates going back. That's valuable information. A graph that shows me a year in the future of blank dates, I already know that we don't know what it's going to be.
I noticed that as well, Commissioner, when I
Okay.
was summarizing the report. I believe that's because those graphs
But my
reset at the
question
fiscal
is,
year.
if we're a month into the fiscal year and you're more than $500,000 over budget, how does that happen?
That's time. Commissioner, do you want a second round?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'll pick up again.
Okay. Second round for Commissioner Kavanaugh.
So, Commissioner, I looked at that, and our fiscal services manager was out of the office last week, so I didn't get an opportunity to investigate that number with her.
That's a huge number for the first month of the year.
But I think a lot of that is sometimes our medical bills, it may depend on, this also, we have, I'm going to give you a speculation. At the end of the fiscal year, we go into like a spending blockout for a few weeks, the whole county does. We may have paid 2 medical invoices because of that blockout, which would have contributed to, could have contributed to a number like that. You're right, it is a significant number.
So here's where the rubber hits the road here. All of these blank graphs that I showed you go to that number. And I can't tell, based on these blank graphs, what those numbers were going back. So I can't compare, based on these blank graphs, anything with anything that happened a year ago at this time. Were you $500,000 over budget in the first month of the last fiscal year? I don't know, because I don't have any information in here going back a year. I have loads of information going forward, and it's all blank. It does me no good. So please don't do that anymore. I don't want to know that I already know I can't tell the future. I do want to know what you know about the past. And I particularly want to know how we got $500,000 over budget in the first
I will get an
month of the
explanation.
fiscal
I will get an
year.
explanation to that sent to you, Commissioner.
If you go forward at that, if that's going to happen every month of this fiscal year, that's going to be a real bad thing. And I can't tell if that happened every month of last year because I have blank graphs going forward and no information on the last year.
So, Commissioner, we will fix that. What I believe is that those graphs reset at the start of the fiscal year.
Okay, I
That's-
think we
it-
understand each other.
Yeah, we understand each other.
The staffing is at 99%, which is great, and a big improvement over the low staffing that we've experienced in recent years. But the Board of Mental Health on page 45 shows the real problem that we have. People with long-term mental health problems have nowhere to go because Board of Mental Health will refer them to the Lincoln Regional Center, and we have 13 people on the waiting list for the Lincoln Regional Center, which has no capacity. And so there's no long-term health. Even if we open the new health wing at the Correction Center, once those people complete whatever it is, the 72 hours or the 24 days, they're going to drop off if they've still got lingering mental health conditions because there's no room at the Lincoln Regional Center. It's not your fault. It's just a fact, right?
The Lincoln Regional Center did increase capacity, but based upon the fact that there remains a waiting list.
Do you
they
know
need
the
to do more.
capacity of the Lincoln Regional Center?
I couldn't tell you the bed number off the top of my head. I do know that our wait times and wait lists have shrunk. About a year ago, I believe they did open like another wing up that they were able to staff. We did see wait times increase for a bit because they lost a psychiatrist, which I found out last week they have replaced. So hopefully we'll see an improvement.
Yeah, the problem with the wait list is if I have a health condition, if I have a broken arm or a burst appendix, or I have a chronic mental health condition, it doesn't wait because the Lincoln Regional Center has a wait list. I mean, my health condition is acute and happening now in real time. This isn't your fault. I'm just making that point. Thank you.
It's time. Thank you. Any others, board or public, that would like to comment on the corrections report? If not, we'll go ahead and conclude. Thank you, Director
Thank
Myers.
you, Commissioners.
Appreciate it. And I'll take a motion for adjournment. Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan, to adjourn Board of Corrections. Please vote.
It's okay. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we'll go into Board of Commissioners. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Borgeson. Commissioner Kavanaugh. Commissioner Fahey. Commissioner Friend. Commissioner Morgan. Commissioner Rogers. Mr. Chair.
Here. First item of business are under Section 1A and B. A being the approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. B being the approval of claims submitted for payment process through Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. Do I have a motion and a second for both? Motion by Rogers, second by Friend to approve A and B. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have our consent agenda under Section 2, items A through P. Do a motion, a second for discussion of consent? Motion by Rogers, second by Morgan, and I know Mr. Clerk had a couple items.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dan Esch, Douglas County Clerk. On item D, this is just a note for the public. There was some documentation, about 8 pages, that got included in the middle of the backup that's not relevant to the item. It's not what we submitted for the agenda. I'm not sure how it got worked in there, but it looks like it's just like a course syllabus. So that's not a part of the manager application. And then on item H, on page 3, number 3, term of agreement, the county attorney's office says that section, it says section 14H, and instead it needs to say section 14N. So I would just ask for that that amendment to be included with the motion.
Okay, if the board is okay with that, we'll amend H as stated by the clerk. All right, open up discussion. If there are any questions or comments on consent agenda. If not, we will vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we're going to jump to Section 7, public hearings. We have multiple ordinances and a presentation after that. So we'll start with item A. It is a public hearing to consider a proposed golf car ordinance to allow golf cars to be driven within SID 577 Westbury Farm in Douglas County. I will open up the public hearing for this item. Are there any comments or questions on this item? If none, I will close the public hearing for item A. If we want to approve today, we first need a motion to bypass the 3 hearings and take action today. That will be the first motion, and the second motion could be to actually approve. What is the will of the board? Motion to bypass the 3 hearings by Borgeson, second by Rogers. We'll vote on that first.
Commissioner, just a reminder on these, we need to do a voice vote. So
Okay.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Kavanaugh, Commissioner Fahey, Commissioner Friend, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have item 7B. Oh, my bad. Yeah, take action. Motion to approve A first, second by Rogers. All right, this is the motion to actually approve A.
Teresa, York County Attorney's Office. We need to read the ordinance by title or number before
That's
you
right.
vote on it to adopt it.
That's right. Let me get that title, or if Teresa, if you have it by hand, as I make
I
my
can,
way there. Or Mr. Clark.
Dan,
Yep.
I'll pull it up here in a second. Hi. Dan Esch, Douglas County Clerk. Patrick, just the a proposed golf car ordinance to allow golf cars to be driven within SID 577 Westbury Farm in Douglas County.
Perfect. Thank you. That is the title or the name of this ordinance. So we have a motion to approve by Borgeson, second by Rogers. We'll go ahead and vote on that.
Commissioner Borgeson. Yes. Commissioner Kavanaugh. Commissioner Fahey. Yes. Commissioner Friend. Yes. Commissioner Morgan. Yes. Commissioner Rogers. Yes. Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right, now we'll go to item B, public hearing to consider a proposed golf car ordinance to allow golf cars to be driven within SID 561 Arbor View in Douglas County. I will open up the public hearing for this item. Did anybody want to comment, board or public? If not, I will close the public hearing. What is the will of the board? Motion by pass to 3 hearings by Borgeson, second by Rogers. We'll vote on that first.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Kavanaugh, Commissioner Fahey, Commissioner Friend, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Motion to approve the ordinance under item B by Borgeson, second by Rogers. The name of the ordinance again on the agenda here is a public hearing to consider a proposed golf cart ordinance to allow golf carts to be driven within SID 561, Arborview in Douglas County. We'll vote on that ordinance.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Kavanaugh, Commissioner Fahey, Commissioner Friend, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have item C, a public hearing to consider proposed golf cart ordinance to allow golf carts to be driven within SID 570, Blondo Ridges in Douglas County. I will open up the public hearing for this item. Did anybody want to comment? If not, I will close the public hearing. What is the will of the board? Motion by Borgeson to bypass the 3 hearings, second by Rogers. Vote on that first.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Kavanaugh, Commissioner Fahey, Commissioner Friend, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Now the action to approve. A motion by Borgeson to approve the ordinance under item C, second by Rogers. Again, the name is a proposed golf cart ordinance to allow golf carts to be driven within SID 570, Blondo Ridges in Douglas County. Please vote.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Kavanaugh, Commissioner Fahey, Commissioner Friend, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Item D is a public hearing to consider a proposed golf cart ordinance to allow golf carts to be driven within SID 598, Colarosa East in Douglas County. I will open up the public hearing for this item. Are there any comments? If not, I will close the public hearing. What is the will of the board? Motion by pass to 3 hearings by Borgeson, second by Rogers. Please vote on that first.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Kavanaugh, Commissioner Fahey, Commissioner Friend, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Motion to approve the ordinance under item D by Borgeson, second by Rogers. Again, the name is a proposed golf cart ordinance to allow golf carts to be driven within SID 598, Colarosa East in Douglas County. Please vote.
Commissioner Borgeson, Commissioner Kavanaugh, Commissioner Fahey, Commissioner Friend, Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Rogers, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
All right. Y'all have fun on those golf carts and be safe. Item E is Todd Fitzer, Douglas County Engineer, opens for comment the hearing on Douglas County's Highway Improvement Plan for fiscal years 2026 through 2031. I will open up the public hearing for this item and toss it to our county engineer, Todd Fitzer.
Just enter.
So I can't, I'm not going to toggle back and forth, it's just entering forward.
Correct.
Okay, that'll work. Thank you very much. Good morning, Todd Fitzer, Douglas County Engineer, 15505 West Maple Road. I'm here today to present our 1 and 6 year plan. I know how excited you all get about intersection improvements and roadway widening, so I put together about a 45-minute presentation for you to enjoy this morning. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that to you. I'm going to hit the highlights. I want you to stop me at any time if you have questions. You've got copies that I believe have been handed out. I want to start off by saying there's a increased emphasis, and this is from a federal standpoint, on safety, particularly in our metro areas. There's 2 initiatives that are going on right now in the Omaha Metro and Douglas County area. One is called Safe Streets for All that MAPPA has headed up and has been looking at for some years and has funding sources, some of those being federal grants and things like that to improve the safety on our streets. And the other is the City of Omaha's Vision Zero plan. So I want you to be aware of those, and I want to give you an example of a project that directly came out of those efforts. Some of you are aware of the tragic loss of life for a young lady out in West Q last spring at an intersection where somebody ran a red light. We love them or hate them, roundabouts are a safe way to handle traffic, particularly near schools, and there's been an effort to do some of that. We, Douglas County, have been meeting with Bennington's engineer on the new Bennington High School that is moving forward at rapid pace since the bond issue passed, and we have succeeded in getting consideration to construct a roundabout at 177th and Military instead of a standard T intersection. We worked with the city on that to adjust the cross sections of the roadway with the Bennington School District and with the Douglas County Engineer's Office, and there will be a roundabout. And just giving you one example of a extremely safety related solution for an intersection near an upcoming high school to try to make our roads safer. With that, I will jump into our plan here. What you see in front of you in green, the green dots, are the 2025 projects. So those projects are going on now. I'll show you some pictures of those as we go. And then the yellow dots are projects that are coming in 2026. And I'm not going to go through each and every one of those. They're available, but this gives you a snapshot picture of where we're doing work and what's going on in the county. This is what 156th and Rainwood looked like earlier this year. This is what it looks like today. There is no road there today, and there will be one. There is another Bennington school coming into play here, and Rainwood Road is going to connect through further to the west. So that's what we have there. This, again, was what 168th and Ida looked like in the early spring, and this is what it looks like today. We are getting ready to pour concrete out there. This will be a signalized intersection with turn lanes and things like that to increase the capacity and move traffic through that area. And I'm sure you're all aware, West Q Street, the last piece of Q Street before we get out to the highway, out to 204th Street. This is what it looked like before we started construction, and this is what it looks like today. We have had some delays associated with utilities on that. Everybody's working hard, but it has slowed things down. It has slowed our contractor down, and it's a little crazy out there at the moment. But I believe everybody's out there, OPPD, MUD, and our contractor dodging each other right now, getting work done. This is the last piece of Fort Street west of the highway. So from 204th west, this is Fort Street. It will connect through with concrete all the way out to 216th Street. That will be done yet this fall. Harrison Street is starting this week from about 222nd, so near this intersection. Will be paved out west of 225th. That'll be done in the next year. And then the next piece, which is about another 3,000 feet west of that, we're working with Sarpy County. They are the lead agency on that. And we're having them look into whether or not Harrison Street may get extended all the way to the west down to the river valley where it tees in today. They're studying that, looking at that. That project could start as early as 2027. I don't think it will, but it's being talked about, and it could. Just wanted to make you aware of that. Our last piece of Fort Street to get to the highway, so normally we're not out past this. The reason the part from 204th Street West has jumped ahead of the part to the east is primarily because of SID development. As you know, the SIDs contribute toward the roadway widening improvement, and we've seen a lot of work to the west, and that's going to be done this year. This will be done, I hope, next year. We are doing utility coordination now. It's in our plan for next year. Our utilities are a little bit behind on this particular segment, but we're hoping a year from now that this last piece of Fort to get to the highway will all be paved. Wanted to bring that to your attention. This is 156th and State, so a year from now, this will look like that picture I showed you at 168th and State. We'll be getting ready to pour, tying into all of these wider 3-lane sections, signalizing that intersection, putting in turn lanes, and doing things to improve capacity and safety in those areas. South at 168th and Ida, looking toward a Bennington school here, that connection will be widened. The bottom of your screen will be widened to a 3-lane section, tying in there with improved traffic control. And similarly, this is the last slide I have for you. This is State Street looking east, widening of that road to allow for safe movements into and out of these SIDs with turn lanes and things like that. So as the SIDs come in, that is where we stay busy. So I am available for questions should you have them. But this is all outlined in your 1 and 6 year plan, and I appreciate the opportunity today to be here and share that with you.
Thank you for your report. Much appreciated. We'll jump into some conversation here, starting with Commissioner Fahey.
Engineer Fitzer, I really appreciate it. Regarding the, can you just briefly explain or expand on the county's role both with Safe Streets for All and Vision Zero, or if there is one that we play in that?
Our role is one of, my previous life, I was at the city for 17 years, so I was involved in the development of these. So I'll start with Safe Streets for All. Let's go in that order. MAPA approached the county a while back and said, here is 10 projects that have been identified in our Safe Streets for All. We believe that we could get funding. 7 of those 10 were on state highways. So we helped facilitate and coordinate communication with the DOT, because that really is not our jurisdiction. It's not something we can pursue. So I am the chair of the MAPA TTAC board as well as the PROSCOM selection committee. I'm very involved with those efforts at MAPA. So the county's role is to communicate closely with MAPA both ways. So if we've got an unsafe intersection, we want MAPA to be aware of it, or an intersection that we know, hey, we're going to have 3 SIDs coming in the next couple of years. We don't think the prudent thing to do would be to build a T intersection because of the speeds involved. We would like to maybe have some other things considered. Why don't you put that on your list for federal funding toward the Safe Streets for All? So there's one example with the Safe Streets. The Vision Zero, we have 2 or 3 meetings a year with the city of Omaha, and that's the reason I gave the example for the Bennington High School out there. When we approached them, they said, well, that's going to significantly increase costs. And it will increase costs, but we said, we think we can offset that. Let's talk to the city of Omaha, because their standard policy and procedure is you would have to build a 3-lane section on that section of Military. But with the roundabout, the 3-lane section no longer makes sense. So the city said, oh, we like the roundabout idea. We can relax that 3-lane to a 2-lane. That saves you a lot of unneeded pavement. It improves the safety at that intersection of the roundabout. The county's actually going to help participate in some of those additional costs for the school district in the name of safety. So we just are involved in those with communication and ongoing effort to work with those plans.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful. And I think regarding the roundabouts, I mean, we talk about roundabouts, and let's be mindful, we're moving into a subject on which I know very little about, especially from a point of civil engineering or traffic engineering. So bear with me here. But when we talk about roundabouts, we can make them, I mean, there isn't a one-size-fits-all roundabout, and roundabouts can be made more or less safe. For example, for pedestrians, I mean, I understand the benefit to drivers, but they can be made more or less hostile to pedestrians just with any urban design. And I'll give you an example in my district. So in District 5, if you walk between Dodge and Underwood along 50th Street, there's a number of places where there's no ramp to cross 50th. And so the thinking there was, I think, as an uneducated person, that we can make this a lot safer for pedestrians if we just don't let pedestrians cross the street. And of course, that has a great deal of implications for mobility challenged people who have to travel an extra block or 2 to cross the street. So the thinking for them would, I guess, have to have been, it'll be a lot safer for the mobility challenged people trying to cross the street because they'll just be housebound or they'll have to buy a car. So I do want to make sure that when we make these, we're taking pedestrians into mind for these roundabouts as well. And again, I don't know what thinking has gone into that. I'm just curious.
There is no one size fits all. I will start with that. And that goes for everything. That goes for signalized intersections, for roundabouts, for everything. Roundabouts are viewed as safe for pedestrians in that you tend to cross one leg of traffic at a time. So you only look left and you make your cross to the splitter island, and then you only look right. And that has been a paramount goal or change in roundabout design, is to make sure those pedestrians are safe. So I hope I'm addressing that part of your question.
You do, and my only lingering concern is that I always want to make sure that our designs are putting onus on the drivers as well for pedestrian safety. I think we do have a bad habit historically of putting the onus on the pedestrian. But.
Yeah.
Appreciative of the converted, I know, that's all.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Borgerson.
Thank you. On the first page, the map,
Okay.
the area in the green on Harrison Street, what are the street numbers of that and what's going on?
That's about 222nd Street.
Okay, so is there anything in the plan, because when you're on Harrison and you get to 156 West, it's still 2 lanes. Has there been any conversation between state, SARPE,
Yeah.
about expanding that?
Yes, that will be ongoing. When, I don't know. That is now, the county's out of that completely. That is the city of Omaha and Sarpy County, and those are the only 2
We're out
entities.
completely now.
The county is, yeah, because of annexation, we have no jurisdiction out there at all anymore.
Okay, and then the Hamptons area, way
West
out there on
Q.
West of Q.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of conversations that have gone on in the past, and Dan probably remembers these, about the speeding
Yes.
and the dangerous curves and the truck traffic.
Yes.
From the sand and gravel and construction folks. Is there anything on or in the plan for that west of that?
Yes. We built the roundabout last
river,
year.
right.
And so west of there, we've got another roundabout, at least conceptually planned, that is going to involve SID participation. And that, the ball is kind of in the SID's court right now. When they are ready and they want to come forth with their portion of funding, we see another roundabout, and then we've got opportunity for possibly a third. We can't legally restrict trucks from that route. Q Street is designated as a truck route. We've actually worked with county legal and talked about that. We can discourage them, but we can't legally stop them from using that route.
Right.
But the roundabouts are going to create that effect for the trucking companies.
Do you
And
have a timeline for the second one, even though it's in?
we don't.
the SID?
We're ready.
Okay.
It's kind of with the SID. When they're ready, and they know where we're at, when they come forward and say, okay, I don't know if it's a financial thing with them, I can't speak for the SID, but when they're ready, we will be ready to move forward.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Rogers.
Todd, I'm just curious, so the roundabouts, how have I heard the maintenance of it was not the greatest, so how has that improved over the years?
Roundabouts, you are correct. The question was maintenance on roundabouts. Our snowplow drivers hate them. They are difficult. Our trucks get stuck when we do roundabouts. From a maintenance standpoint, they're not the most friendly thing in the world either. We are learning. We are doing minor tweaks to the design of the roundabouts. Truck aprons is a good example. Full depth concrete on the inside of the roundabout, that being the truck apron, helps with maintenance. We've learned just from experience how
What
to.
do you mean by full depth concrete?
So behind, if you think about the inside of a roundabout, that is a circle. That concrete behind the curb, so on the inside, it should never get driven on by a car, theoretically. But when a truck comes through there, sometimes the rear wheels of a long trailer or the trailer of a tractor trailer will roll over that. So that's now the same depth as the driving surface of the road. So it holds up. So as those truck wheels roll over that, it's by design and it holds up. Softening angles, approach angles. Our snowplow drivers came and said, hey, we really like this one. Make the rest of them work like this. And so we are always adjusting because they're here to stay because of the safety implications of them. The city would like to do a lot of roundabouts, and I don't know where that's going to go. But the blunt answer is that they are more labor intensive, I'll put it that way, for both maintenance and snow plowing.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Kavanaugh.
So I'm interested in this discussion of roundabouts because I'm a big roundabout fan. I think it's a smart idea.
I knew there was one.
The same street, Happy Hollow, that runs through my district, runs through Commissioner Fahey's district. And I have a roundabout right by my house, and it works great. He does it over by his house, and it's a mess. And they could easily solve this thing by sticking a roundabout in there. I've spent a fair amount of time in countries that have lots and lots of
Yes.
roundabouts. And it makes all kinds of sense. And I've checked on, you know, the types of accidents and the frequency of accidents that they have. And it's way below what we experience, particularly on these, you know, 4, 5, 6 streets come together and you play kind of a Russian roulette with
Yes.
who goes first and stuff. I mean, it's off the charts, the accidents that we have at those intersections. So I'm glad that you're kind of taking a lead a little bit on this. I think it's a big thing. It's tough to fix things in the older part of the city that's, you know, been set kind of for a while. But, you know, the western part of the county where we're just exploring, starting to expand into that, is ideal to put them in now so that we don't have this problem going
That
forward.
ties back to Commissioner Fahey's question, and that's why we're working so closely with the Safe Streets for All and with the Vision Zero, because the city has come to me, to us at Douglas County, and said, would you consider, instead of waiting 20 years until there's a crash history or a problem, would you consider putting them in now? And the answer is yes, we will. They're not always popular, as you know, but they are safe. And to your point, or to part of your question, at a signalized intersection, the deadliest crash we have is a 90-degree angle crash. So when somebody runs a red light and hits someone in the driver's door, that is the deadliest crash pattern that we experience. You don't have that at roundabouts. You have what we call side swipes. When people do make mistakes, and we do, let's face it, the cars impact at a glancing blow, and oftentimes we refer to that as a fender bender. There's not significant injury. Oftentimes even the cars are drivable from the crash. There's still a crash,
Yeah.
but nobody's going to the ER, and that's our goal.
Well, thanks for this, and I'm glad you're looking ahead and doing this. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Friend.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Todd, thanks for the information. When I was going through the map, I didn't have to go through the map to know this, but through the 6-year, when I go through this thing every year, the 6-year highway improvement plan, 90% of this stuff is, for logical reasons, is happening in me and Commissioner Borgeson's district. So I want people to know, and this isn't a public service announcement for Todd Fitzer, and I'm not running his campaign or anything, but when I call Todd and I try to communicate, he's not just an engineer or a number pusher. He responds pretty well and responds accordingly. And I call him all the time. As a matter of fact, probably once a week, whether I want to or not. So I appreciate that, Todd. But as far as a PSA is concerned, I have your cell number. I mean, what would you, and people can find this 6-year plan out on the website.
Correct.
I mean, at a certain point.
Yes.
What would you recommend? And I'm not asking for a hotline or I'm not asking for consistent calls, but if somebody wants to call me, that's fine. But if somebody wants to, has specific questions, what would you recommend that they, I mean, are you guys inundated with calls on a consistent basis?
When it snows, we are.
True.
No, about construction projects, not so much. We do get calls from folks wondering when. I'll give you the example on Fort Street. There's schools out there now on West Fort Street, and people don't like the gravel, and we don't like the gravel. It's hard to maintain. We're out there all the time. There's too much traffic for a gravel road, but you got to get the utilities relocated first. But we have a number on the same place you'll find this plan. There's a number to reach out to the Douglas County engineer's office, and we have several folks that are very familiar with the projects. We take those phone calls, we return those calls, and we are happy to help. Frankly, it's kind of fun to let people know what we're working on and answer their questions, and usually we have a very satisfied customer, so to speak, at the end of that phone call. So we would encourage people, if they've got questions, just give us a call.
Yeah. Good info again. Todd, thanks for the time today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on this matter? If not, we are scheduled to take action at the next board meeting, so we won't take action today. Teresa, do you recommend we keep the public hearing just open for now?
Teresa, Teresa York County Attorney's Office. I would recommend we close the public hearing because I believe the statute for the one-year plan requires that action be taken at the next meeting.
Okay.
Or excuse me, it says taken after the public hearing. So I'd recommend close.
Very good. We'll close the public hearing for now and address it at next week's meeting for action. So, thank you, Mr. Engineer. Next, we'll go into our committees. We have item A, Finance Committee Budget Report as presented, and also a monthly fee report also as presented. Under Child and Youth Services, we do have one presentation today, Douglas County Youth Center Monthly Report for July 2025. And with Kim and Abby are going to help us with this one.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Dr. Abby Carbaugh. Superintendent Woodard was unable to be here in person today, but he is on Zoom, so I will be doing the data presentation for him, and then he is available if there are any questions. So we're here to talk about the June population. Our monthly DCYC admissions on this slide show that we had 45 admissions this month. That is the same as what we had in June. So during July, 6 youth came to us from charges in adult courts, 38 youth were charged as juveniles, and 1 youth came in from another county. When we look at our monthly average daily population, we were down a bit this month. So we went from 98 youth on an average day in June down to 86 this month. 42 of those youth were charged in juvenile court and 40 were in adult court. This graph shows the same information. It's just broken out a bit by week. What you can see in the 2025 information here is the crossing over of those gray and dark blue lines. What that indicates is that we have been more evenly split in our population of youth charged as adults and youth charged as juveniles during this year than we have in either 2023 or 2024. So with regard to June specifically, we had a low population of 82. Again, our average daily population was 86, and we had a high of 90. We had 90 youth in DCYC on July 1st, and we were down to 84 on July 31st. 6 youth were screened for entry into our home program. 3 of those referrals came from probation, and 3 came from the court. 4 of those youth were accepted. We also had 51 youth released from detention during July, and on average, they stayed with us for about 77 days. 6 youth were charged in adult court. They had the longest length of stay. We're used to seeing, on average, they were there about 232 days prior to release. 8 juvenile predisposition youth stayed with us for about 62 days. 4 youth who were admitted on juvenile probation with new charges were in detention for about 54 days. 17 youth who were admitted on juvenile probation without new charges stayed in detention for about 36 days. And then 3 youth from other jurisdictions were with us for about 69 days. When we look at those 45 youth who were admitted to DCYC in July 2025, 6 came from adult court, 38 had charges in juvenile court, and 1 was admitted from another county. So of those 44 Douglas County youth, 8 were admitted on weapons charges. 2 were felony firearm use, and this includes 1 youth who had used the firearm in the commission of a homicide. 4 felony firearm possession offenses, 1 felony weapon use, and 1 misdemeanor firearm possession were the other weapons-related charges. The remaining youth, we had 11 admitted for non-weapon felonies, 4 for non-weapon misdemeanors, and 21 who were admitted on technical violations or reasons other than a new offense. This slide goes into detail just on those 8 youth who had committed weapons offenses. 2 were charged as adults, and 6 were on predisposition in juvenile court. Again, 6 were firearm possession and 2 were use charges. We had 7 felonies and 1 misdemeanor. So 6 felony firearm-related charges, 4 were possession, and 2 were use. Again, it's important to note that one of these firearms was used in the commission of a homicide. The felony weapon charge was a felony use offense. That youth also had charges related to terroristic threats. And then we had 1 misdemeanor firearm possession. For the 11 youth with non-weapon related felonies, 2 of these youth were charged as adults and 9 were charged in juvenile court. The types of felonies that were committed include assault, drug possession, theft, burglary, robbery, drug distribution, sexual assault, and terroristic threats. We had 4 youth related with non-weapon related misdemeanor charges. All of these youth were admitted in juvenile court. 3 had admitted on predisposition, and 1 was already on probation when they came in with their new charge. Their misdemeanors included assault and criminal mischief. And then finally, the remainder of our admissions, we had 21 youth who were admitted on technical violations or reasons other than a new offense. 2 were admitted from adult court and 19 were related in juvenile court. 17 of those youth in juvenile court were already on probation. The majority of these youth came in for unlawful absences or violations of probation, but we also had youth who were admitted because they lost a placement, they had failed to appear or failed to pay fines and costs in adult court. 1 youth violated our home program, which is our community supervision program, and 1 had a violation of a court order. On the right-hand side, you can see the underlying charges or the original offenses that these youth had committed that brought them into the criminal or juvenile justice system. 6 had felony-related offenses, and 15 had misdemeanor offenses. Just to get you a little bit more current information, this slide shows our population as of August 11th. So as of last Monday, we had 85 youth in detention. 2 were from other jurisdictions, 33 were in adult court, and 50 were in juvenile court. Of those 50 who were in juvenile court, we had 23 that were in on predisposition charges and 27 on probation. 11 of those youth on probation were admitted without new charges. Again, we see that the majority of our population is comprised of youth of color. 88% of our population was youth of color last week. 89% of our population was male, and 11% were duly charged in the child welfare system. This is also a snapshot of the length of stay for those youth who were in detention on August 11th. On average, all youth have been in detention for about 150 days. The adult court youth, the average for those 33 has been about 257 days. We had 16 youth with new charges while they were on probation. They've been waiting about 83 days. The 11 youth who are on probation without new charges have been in detention for about 61 days. And then our 23 predisposition youth have been in detention for about 86 days. As of this week, on August 14th, we had 7 youth, or excuse me, that was Friday. So we had 7 youth with court orders pending release. So we had 1 who was waiting placement at a PRTF, 2 who were waiting group homes, 3 youth who were waiting placements at shelters or other approved placements, and 1 was waiting to be released home with supportive services from probation in place. This slide just provides a little bit more information on those 7 youth. So 1 was a state ward. On average, these youth have been waiting about 19 days, though the number of days has ranged from 1 to 65. And then on the right-hand side, again, you can see the underlying charges for which these youth were originally brought into the system, and they include a mixture of felony and misdemeanor-related offenses. So that is the information that I have for you today, and I'd be happy to take questions.
Thank you, Dr. Cardball, much appreciated. We'll get into discussion on the detention numbers at DCYC at this point, starting with Commissioner Cavanaugh.
Thank you, and thanks for this. I thought I saw somebody here from DCYC. Is there somebody here to talk about this with you?
I
Okay.
thought I saw Mark earlier, but I think Rondi is available on Zoom.
All right. I get regular updates, and I go there, try to go there on a regular basis. I have a couple of questions. The average daily population number of 86 is as of when?
That is for the entire month of June, or July, excuse me.
That's July's average daily population?
Correct.
Okay. The number that I have a question on is the annual high. I think you had that as 90. I had some information from the youth center in July, just about a month ago today, that had the year-to-date average daily population at 91. And I just point that out because it's a disparity, and if you could clear that up for us, you don't have to do this right now, that would be a good thing.
So I will say that my number of 90 is looking just at the month of July for the high point. It's not a year-to-date.
I see, okay. Anyhow, the low of 82 is for that same July period?
Correct.
Correct, okay. The kids' jail across the street, the empty kids' jail, has a capacity of what?
64.
I'm sorry?
64.
54.
64.
64. But that is a capacity that includes both genders. If you had one female in that population, you'd have to close off a mod of, what, 8?
Correct.
Okay. And if you had 9, you'd have to close off a mod of 16?
Correct.
2 mods of 16. So the practical is not 54. It would be less than that because we always have at least one female in the population. But it's a bit moot because although that place has been open for how long now?
I believe construction was completed 2 years ago.
Okay. It's been empty for the entire time since it's been open. So the population that you describe at the Douglas County Youth Center on 42nd Street, this population has never, ever during this entire period been at 64 or at 54 or at 44. And what we're looking at here is a population that seems to be, you know, in that 80 to 90 range, if I'm reading these stats right, and I'm getting stats on an ongoing basis, right?
Yes, for the total population.
And of that population of 80 or 90 children, we have a population of 88% majority minority children.
Correct.
And that's pretty consistent too, right?
Yes.
And of that population, almost 60% of them are African American children. And that statistic has been pretty same.
Consistent, yes.
Right. So, you know, we're locking up a lot of kids of color at the existing facility, way more than the capacity of the new empty kids jail across the street, which costs tens of millions of dollars and hasn't helped a single child. These are just concerns that we have. We struggle with these. We're trying to reach some resolution, but the public needs to know how much waste there has been.
10 seconds.
You know, in this, just in the last number of years, depriving our children of needed help. Thank you.
Next time, we'll go to Commissioner Borgerson.
Thank you. On the length of stays, when you say 6 are in adult court and the average day to release was 232 days, does that mean the total of those 6, or those 6 each had an average of 232 days?
So we add up all the time for those 6 youth and then divide it by 6. So it's just the average across. So there could have been some that stayed longer than that, some that stayed shorter, just the average amount for those youth released. Okay. That's how long they had been in.
And then, so there's a court order for a youth to go, I don't know, to Boys Town. But the wait time for that child to be moved is well over 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Does that youth go back to court? Because then there may be, I mean, is there not a moot point at some point that the child shouldn't go to Boys Town after sitting for that long because the system didn't do anything for that youth other than have them sit there. And now a place is open, but now all of a sudden that youth who has sat there because the system failed it, do they still go? Or do we re-look at the potential of something else for that youth?
So there are regular placement checks. The youth will go back into the court, but those the placements itself are actually coordinated by the state probation. So they are coordinating those processes and making sure the placement is best for the kid and at the best time.
But we don't know. I mean, I understand it's probation, but we don't know if they reevaluate to decide not to send that kid because they've sat for so long within our facility. Do we know that? Or do we have to get that from probation?
So the youth facility would be informed if there is a change in placement type. I don't know if that answers your question. So we do. We just haven't looked at it a lot for beyond the placement numbers that are in this.
Okay, that may be something we can talk about at a later time, but again, I'm concerned because of these length of stays that we're seeing our kids lingering in a facility instead of being moved swiftly and appropriately to the placement that they're being recommended to be moved to. And then as they sit there, we're providing services and programs and such, and then a reevaluation of that youth to determine whether that youth could just go home rather than, again, being disrupted to another placement when, again, they've sat there for so long. So anyway, we can look at that or talk about how we can maybe track that better and in conjunction with probation. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick inquiry point of information for myself, kind of building off of that. So if we take the 7 youth waiting that have been authorized for release to a certain kind of release, and they're averaging 19 days of wait time, within those 19 days, is there like a weekly court review to see if there could be like a new placement or just send them home at this point? Or is there, within those 19 days average, I know some are more, some are less, is there no like court review or anything like that?
There is a court review process. I don't know the time frame. I think it may be individualized towards the youth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, just curious, and I know that's more of a, judge, probation, and county defender kind of jurisdiction, but I'd be curious on that as well. I'm going to go to Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Abby, on page 6, on page 5. So, as a policy change where probation is now able to refer people to the home program, because my understanding is probation wasn't referring people straight to the home program.
No, the home program would just be for our predisposition youth.
On page 5. So, when you say youth screen probation referrals.
Oh, I apologize. Yes, that is probation intake. For youth who are admitted into DCYC, then the probation intake officers can make a referral of whether those youth should be screened by the home program. And that is something that has been operating for quite a while.
So that's a policy change because we hadn't been, I thought we hadn't been doing that.
My
thought is, I thought that I was hearing that probation wasn't able to put people on the home program from intake.
No, the intake officers have been making referrals.
They have?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I just want to make a point then about then the other side of the page about comments, made that are a little, I think, misinforming, particularly when you talk about population. So let's play it into the scenario of if you do have one female. So depending on what that female's offense are, we do have agreements, like SARPI has an agreement with us. We have agreements with others. Depending on what's going on with that female, we do have an agreement where that female could be probably placed at SARPI. So that eliminates the possibility of having to shut down a cell. Also, I think if you note too on the other side of page 5, based off what Commissioner Borgeson says, I think the public needs to know too that all those predisposition kids may not be possible to leave, but that predisposition piece is the board's element. And the board has the chance here to strengthen some things to make predisposition options more available, which gives us another piece on the count. And then, so that predisposition number is definitely high to some degree, but I think the other piece too to note is page 11. And then you get into page 11, and page 11 notes there's 50 kids that are in juvenile court, 33 that are in adult. And the hard look then is the 23 kids on predisposition and the 27 on probation. Even that point there, if you take part of that 50 kids and you have the count today is 81, the point made of the facility being empty, the board can make a decision in 3 months and the board can be in. And that side of the element with probation and the state would need to work to make those adjustments for the placement. So I just wanted to make that on the record, but it does point again that the issue and the driving issue for years has been the length of stays. And that's the piece that needs to be addressed from, I think, the county's end with predisposition. And also, I think the board makes a more aggressive push to make the state move on their end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Commissioner Kavanaugh for a second round.
So we're dealing with kind of two populations here. There are children who are under the jurisdiction of the juvenile court, and there are children that are under the jurisdiction of the adult court, district court, right?
Correct.
Okay. And of these roughly 80 or 90 children that we have on average, what percentage would be children under the jurisdiction of juvenile court? What percentage would be children under the jurisdiction of adult court?
So for 2025 so far, it's been almost a 50-50 split.
Okay. And the difference there, and you outlined this in your breakout of the crimes that they're being held for, the children that are being held by adult court are being held for, compared to the children held by district or juvenile court, serious crimes. You know, we're talking about crimes involving serious assaults. We're talking about crimes involving burglary, firearm possession, sexual assault. Those are serious crimes, and the juvenile court holds would be not those serious crimes. Is that basically right?
I think so. There's still some youth with assault and firearm possession as misdemeanors,
But they wouldn't be felony assaults.
Correct.
Firearms. Okay. These two populations that are roughly half and half are integrated, intermingled. They occupy the same space in the youth center?
Correct.
Okay. They're not segregated by felony serious crimes children and juvenile court less serious crime children. Right?
Correct.
And if the population is, say, 80 or 90, that's like 40, 45 kids in each category, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if we were to break them out by category, segregate them by serious crimes and less serious crimes, district court and juvenile court, we would have capacity at 42nd Street to do that type of a segregation. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from board or public on the presentation today?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Oh, Commissioner Rogers?
Thank you. So continuing that discussion, the point was made that you break the population to adult and juveniles. Let's add into the discussion that if you are classified as a juvenile, you're rehabilitated.
Correct.
And let's classify that similar to let's say adult corrections. If you're in pretrial and adult corrections, you're in predisposition and juvenile.
Correct.
If you are in adult and if you get sentenced in adult corrections, you're adjudicated in juvenile.
Yes.
And sentencing in juvenile is placement.
Yes.
So with that being said, the true kid that should be in the detention facility is the adult kid. And that discussion even gets more fine because depending on what's going on with that adult kid, there could be opportunity for placement depending on what the charge is. But that's a whole nother discussion. So the point is, as of right now, when you go to page 11, you have 50 kids that are considered on probation. And if you are sentenced to probation, you are not an adult. Your sentencing is placement.
Yes.
So based on your numbers, if the 50 kids that should by law be in a placement were to have a placement, the real population of serious people may be about 40, 35.
So just a quick clarification, the 50 is in juvenile court. It is
Yeah,
for all the
juvenile,
juvenile,
sorry.
so the 27 for probation
Juvenile
specifically.
court. To say if you're in juvenile court and not an adult,
Yes.
you're likely going placement route.
Correct.
So just for the public's knowledge, the issue again is length of stays. And the eligible people that should be out probably are 50 people. If that is addressed, you're operating somewhere between 35 and 40 people, which is more than enough room to go.
Yes.
And it's in the board's power to make that move. And if the board says, we want to fill that facility, then the state and others have to move to make that accommodation. So I want to clear that up for the public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Others on the presentation today? Larry?
Larry Storer, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha 68132. Just a brief description of the home program. What you mean by home and whose home and what its purpose is.
Yes. So the HOME program, it stands for Home on Monitoring and Engagement. It is for our predisposition youth. It allows them to be released back home in lieu of detention so that they can be safely supervised in the community with some supportive services wrapped around them while they wait for adjudication by the courts. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else on that? Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Terry Crawford. I am an attorney, but I'm also here in my capacity as the second vice president for the local office of the NAACP. That's at 2021 North 24th Street. So I have a question regarding a particular demographic that I don't believe has been addressed in this report at all, and maybe it has, and then I stand corrected if it has. There seems to be a growing number of youth, particularly in our community in North and Northeast Omaha, that are not necessarily English speakers. I have several of them on my caseload at this time, and there are myriad of issues that exist for these kids. One of them is the death or lack thereof of the understanding of our system of justice. I've had several on my caseload currently where there has been a competency evaluation requested for them, not because they're mentally incompetent, but because they do not have the capacity to assist in their own defense because of cultural issues and language issues and non-English speaking parents. So there's an entire demographic of these students that I believe are being left out. I'll just say that, right? Right now, I have maybe two of those at the youth center. One of them has been ordered to have a competency evaluation. And I forget which one of the commissioners mentioned the fact that there is a wait for a bed at the regional center. My question is, what happens to youth who are ordered to have a competency exam for that purpose if they can't get into the regional center because there's a wait for the bed, Where are they counted in this demographic? And is there a tracking device for those that have been ordered for a competency evaluation for this purpose? How do we track them? And when they go to Lincoln Regional Center, if they ever get there, do they continue to be tracked under your numbers? And what happens with this demographic? There's so many problems educationally and otherwise that we should be addressing with this demographic that we are failing them at every level. But my engagement with them is in the Criminal Justice Center. So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Abby, feel free. I'm guessing they are on the youth waiting slide, maybe under PRTF, but
I was going to say, if they are waiting for a competency evaluation, that's something that we would track internally and we would monitor when they leave our facility and when they come back. I don't typically look at those youth, but I can talk to you more about the mechanics and get more information for you on that if you'd like.
So my additional question then, are they still counted as?
So I think for your additional question of whether they'd still be counted on our census or not, I think if they are going out for competency, so if they're going to be at the Lincoln Regional Center for, say, 5 to 7 days or however long it takes, then they would be sort of on, they wouldn't be counted in our full population numbers, but we would note that they're out on a temporary leave status. Similarly, if we had a youth who went to the hospital or was going to be on our out count list for something to that effect. So we would know that they are coming back to us, but they wouldn't be counted in the youth who are currently in our facility.
And Ms. Crawford, I had a quick follow-up for you as far as the demographic you speak of that maybe don't know the language or the system too well that you've seen in your caseload. Would those happen to be some of our refugee populations, or what kind of population are you seeing there?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with the need for more programming for that demographic. A few months ago, I brought up the high Asian population that was in our statistics. This month, it was up to 10% of our detained youth are Asian, which when the Asian population is only 4% of Omaha, and you see 10, 12, 14% are in detention, that is the first red flag. And then, going a few layers deeper, it tends to be our refugee population. And I think when you go even deeper to seeing that, they're Burmese, Myanmar, Korean population that don't have a lot of tailored programming specifically for them, there definitely is a need there. So I would agree with you that we need to tackle that collectively as a community.
And it would also include the Asian population. I have at least 2 of those youth also as part of my caseload. So I think this deserves a closer look and maybe a deeper dive for us to address the issues, because they are coming in larger numbers into the criminal justice system.
Yeah. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, Ms. Crawford. Other comments, questions? Chris Wilkerson?
I just wanted to ask if maybe that's something we need to have a conversation about, because is the competency, if I heard Ms. Crawford correctly, it wasn't necessarily for mental health issues. So then I'm kind of questioning if we're going down the right path for, quote, competency, if that's really what we should be looking at. But I know that's not your conversation, but it's our conversation, and with Rondi and whoever else, that I'm just kind of curious about that now, if maybe we should have a further conversation about that, because I would be very disappointed if we're sending kids to the regional center for something that shouldn't be being sent there for. So anyway, that was interesting. Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, I would agree. Commissioner Rogers?
To Commissioner Borgeson's point and Ms. Crawford's point on that's another discussion at Abby, if there's a way to track just the kids in general that are waiting for competency hearings, because KTV just 2 weeks ago had a point that it's not just those kids, but it's a whole nother, it's an issue with the competency hearings based on some capacity and other things like that, which is the discussion that's been there. But that has raised its head enough that if we can find some way to track who's waiting on competency hearings,
yes,
it would be good.
Okay.
Thank you. Other comments or questions from board or public? If none, we'll conclude our presentation. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Dr. Carball. We'll move further in the agenda here. Under Human Resources, we had our weekly personnel report from Civil Service as presented. We do have a need for executive session today for the purposes of labor negotiations, litigation, contract negotiations, and legal advice. Do I have a motion and a second for exec session?
So moved.
Motion by Morgan, second by Rogers. Please vote.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. The board will now go into executive session for the purpose of labor negotiation, litigation, contract negotiation, and legal advice.
Motion to reconvene and adjourn by Commissioner Rogers, second by Commissioner Borgeson. Motion passes 6-0. Commissioner Kavanaugh was absent. We're adjourned at 12:27 p.m.